Hey everybody, this is Alien Theory.
And Respect the Dent.
And this is Blottertalk. So recently, you might have been celebrating Christmas. Yeah, I understand this is out after Christmas. We were trying to get it done before Christmas, but fucking life happens.
Merry New Year.
Today we'll be discussing the psychedelic connection between Christmas and mushrooms, which sounds far-fetched. I know it sounds like some fucking stoner thought that, like, dude, if our mom smoked pot while they were pregnant with us, we'd be like so smart. It sounds like that kind of like stupid thought, But the thing is, this to me it sounds way more like the actual how it came to be, the story.
Dude, the connections make me hyped on it. Like, all the coincidences just get me going.
Right. Well, and the thing is, yeah, it's a very interesting story. So the theory is there is a type of mushroom called the Emanita Muscaria mushroom, and it's
like the top quality shroom.
Yeah, I've heard it's very intense, it's very potent, but I've also heard some drawbacks to it. Emanita Muscaria technically is not outlawed because no one takes it because there's this this thought that it's poisonous. It's not poisonous. It actually, but it can make you very sick. Amanita muscaria mushroom is the most kind of like generic idea of what mushrooms are.
Stereotype, yeah.
Yeah, it's the one that people refer to as like the Mario mushroom because it has that classic look of the red and white spots.
Yeah,
and,
like Toad from Mario looks exactly just like those mushrooms.
But the effects of them are different than like other mushrooms. I'm not a chemist. I don't understand if psilocybin, which then I do know that when it is in your body, it gets broken down into psilocin, which is what causes you to trip. Psilocybin is the active ingredient, but it gets broken down into psilocin.
Okay.
Albert Hofmann is credited with finding that. He was also, I think, trying to figure out what the active ingredient was in. It was another psychedelic. It might have been salvia.
What?
He died before he was able to figure it out. Somebody else, another chemist, worked. And then they found it.
Wow.
There are some like unsung heroes of the psychedelic culture that I'm like, I didn't know who that guy was. The guy who synthesized first 2CB, the psychedelics 2CB, which is a designer drug.
Okay.
It's very like, I've heard various things. I'm sort of interested in it.
Okay.
It's very visual, but it's in a completely different way. It's used a lot in party scenes.
It's like another ecstasy kind of Molly in that area. No,
it's psychedelic.
What? It's actually okay.
Yeah, it's not Molly like because Molly has like psychedelic like qualities, but I wouldn't call it a psychedelic. It's still.
Then I am intrigued too.
I've heard various things, but again, that guy has a Wikipedia page.
Holy shit!
I'm like, I'm like, I didn't know about this guy, and then anyway, yeah. So Albert Hofmann was credited with finding psilocybin in magic mushrooms, the active ingredient. So I don't know if Amanita muscaria has a different way that if it's a different chemical process or something, but Adam from Psychedelics took it, and he had an interesting trip, but he said he would never do it again.
Ooh.
He was like feeling sleepy, and like he actually fell asleep during the trip, and he's like, it was weird because he goes, I was having a dream where I was tripping. He's like, so I was actually like...
He was tripping in his dream too.
Yeah, and woke up, and because he did it on YouTube. We'll link the video in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, and as the time keeps going on, he's talking about the effects, and at one point it's like 5 hours, and he looks tired, and he goes, I just woke up from a nap, and he goes, I fell asleep, and he goes, I feel sluggish, and he goes, I'm just gonna go back to bed, and then he talks about it the next day, I think, or something, and he goes, I don't think I'll ever do that again. But then I've read things on Reddit where people are like, I took Amanita muscaria, holy fuck. It's all over the place. I don't know if, and psychedelics do affect people differently, but there are...
There's similarities and then there's the differences.
Yeah. So Amanita muscaria seems to have different effects than like what when we typically think of mushrooms. But the thing I remember hearing a story about how Amanita muscaria was in Samaria, and they took it.
What the fuck?
See, again, now I could have gotten some of the story wrong, but it's in that Mesopotamia, Samaria area. And they thought, I haven't verified this now that I'm saying this. So once again, I'm just going by what I heard. It's just a theory. So fuck off in the comments. But that when it rained, that was God jizzing on the earth, and these mushrooms coming up. I can't.
Those God's children.
No, it wasn't. See, it was. I'm trying to remember now. I'm like, what was the connection?
Wait, are shrooms Jesus?
That's another theory.
Oh,
But see, the Sumerians and Mesopotamians, that was predating Christian mythology. So that's not even the same thing. It might, Samaria and Mesopotamia are modern day Iraq.
Yeah.
I first heard about the Jesus myth Jesus being a mushroom was because they found it first in Samaria.
Hey,
and there's the acacia bush in like Israel.
Yeah.
DMT.
Yeah, isn't the acacia bush the one that Moses found?
They think that was him talking.
Okay.
Yeah, like
that is so interesting. So, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and when you think about it, these do seem like religious experiences that are brought on by psychedelics, or and it is all in your interpretation of it,
right.
And there's so many things that you don't. I don't know. Revelation sounds like a guy having a really bad trip, or not even a really bad trip, just the visions from God, and yet I'm like, visions for God, or did you somehow ingest a psychedelic? Anyway, so in the Arctic,
in Siberia.
Siberia, yeah, is it Siberia or was it Finland?
So it said Lapland and it said Finland, but then they started with Siberia. Both?
Okay, yeah. So
where's Siberia? Isn't that
Siberia? Isn't that Russia like area?
That is Russia, yeah.
Or it's in the very like Arctic area of it. So is there like a section?
Europe?
All right, we're just gonna say Lapland, which we don't know where it is.
Yeah, we don't know where Lapland is.
We've heard two different accounts of where it is. One says like somewhere in Finland, and then the other ones say the Arctic, and
that
something.
That can mean many things.
Yeah, because it's very vague when they in the description of it, and sometimes I'm like, wait, didn't it say it was from? Yeah. So we don't know actually where it's from, but anyway.
But cold area, people live in the cold Arctic, so.
Well, but this has to do with the indigenous people.
Right. Sorry. So indigenous people who lived in the Arctic.
Yeah. So the indigenous people in this area that we don't really know, they had shamans. Every year on the winter solstice, these shamans would come to the village and they'd bring gifts. And if they couldn't get into the house because it was snowed in, they'd go through the chimney. They would bring gifts and they'd put them underneath the evergreen tree. And that's important why I'm bringing up evergreen tree. We'll get to that in a minute. And the people would give him food as thanks for bringing the gifts. Kind of like we do today with milk and cookies. Now, you might be wondering, how does this have anything to do with mushrooms? First, let's talk about the shaman that actually is bringing these gifts.
Magical shaman, Santa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. So, Amanita muscaria is red and white. Yep. The shamans would wear red and white.
They would look like a big mushroom, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. So this so far, it just sounds like we've told the story of like a indigenous people's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
The thing is, with their Santa Claus or their shaman, the reason that they are dressed that way is because the mushrooms have such a profound effect and they have deep respect for it. They were basically like the ambassadors of these Amanita muscaria mushrooms.
Yeah.
And so they would dress in red and white.
Yeah.
When they brought these gifts and placed them under the evergreen tree, the reason that is significant is because that is actually where Amanita muscaria mushrooms grow in the wild. Yeah, yeah. And the shaman would pick them and hang them on the tree.
To dry.
Yeah, because he would hang them on the tree to dry. which look a lot like the red bulbs or ornaments that we'd put on the tree.
And apparently, Amanita muscaria glistens. They do shine.
Yep.
That was mentioned. Yeah, they do shine. So like, they're ornaments.
Yeah, basically. And then when he would take these mushrooms and put them under the tree inside these people's houses, it was in like respect to where like the gifts underneath the tree.
And to where they came from. Naturally.
Yeah, right. So the caribou up in that area are also known as reindeer.
Yeah.
And they are obsessed with the Amanita muscaria mushroom.
They will go find it. They can smell it actually.
Yeah, in fact, if one of the caribou eat it and pees, which the Amanita muscaria mushroom is still in the urine, they will lick the urine. They have actually they said that if anyone's having like a ceremony at their house, if they go outside to take a piss and there's a caribou near, they would just plow into the guy to get to the urine in the snow. I heard they followed the shaman around because they're like, this motherfucker's gonna piss soon. And I'm like,
wait a minute, so that, how, okay, wait a minute.
They've learned that.
How did the shamans learn to domesticate the reindeer?
I don't think they did.
Would the reindeer just follow him around?
Yeah, the reindeer would just follow him around. I don't know how true the story of the rain-drawn sleigh part is.
Right, I guess I would have to look at history of reindeer, but...
One of the effects of Amanita muscaria mushroom is flying.
Right.
And have you guys ever heard those stories of animals tripping balls like when they consume psychedelics? It's pretty safe to say that they're probably getting pretty close to what we're getting. It's just in their context. There was a guy on Joe Rogan, I cannot remember his name. He was talking about how getting fucked up is actually a human... Oh, God, what did he call it? I'm trying to remember that.
Not a need, but like...
Yeah, like...
Is it something we crave?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
like, so getting fucked up isn't like, do you mean like another... like euphoria, like a feeling of euphoria?
Yeah.
Just, okay.
Yeah, so like he was basically talking about how it's inherent in humans to feel this. This has also been, he was talking about how like this is like demonstrated in other animals.
We like feeling good.
Yeah. See, that's the thing too, is that he came at it with this attitude that I really like, which was some people think that psychedelics should only be used in a therapeutic sense or a, not recreational. And he was talking about how, no, we crave that feeling just because we crave that feeling to feel good.
Yeah.
We set up laws and societies and stuff like that have altered like how we view those things, but there's a reason why we're drawn to it rather than not.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that he was coming at it like in this way, like of using it in that recreational manner, which I liked, because finally there was somebody just talking about taking these substances. And like me and you discussed before, it's not just so cut and dry, like I'm only having fun on LSD doing that. No, it's mixed.
We've had amazing experiences at raves.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're just chilling, listening to music, having a good time.
Yeah, it's not, anyone who's not taken psychedelics will not understand that it's not just getting fucked up. And, people make that argument that, how do you know you're not just high? And it's like, well, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but the experiences I've had, I have a hard time going, oh, no, that's just chemical.
Yeah.
As Joe Rogan has always said, regardless if your consciousness goes to another dimension or it really is just a chemical reaction, the experience is still the same.
Yeah.
And that experience, if it stays with you, that experience that's what's the important part of it. Again, anyone who's ever taken psychedelics and is actually doesn't just look at it as another drug.
Yeah.
I think they also can get where we're coming at, that there's something otherworldly about it.
Not like a physical world, like physically, not to say, like we're not physically like launching off into another dimension. our bodies are still staying.
Yeah. No, it's your consciousness.
It's
your consciousness.
Yeah, it's a consciousness, not like a physical dimension. No, like people watch. People will always think we're talking about like, so people who don't understand what we're talking about are gonna think we're talking about like a physical place. We're going. No, it's all.
No, it's all mental.
It's a metaphysical like.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that realm.
Yeah.
There is something like a very distinct feeling of being in that realm.
Yes.
and you can get into the specifics of things like different dimensions from the scientific standpoint. I'm using it in a more loose sense. I'm not specifically talking like there is aspects to that of LSD that I have noticed. I'm like, oh, that is something that I've experienced, but I don't mean it in that way.
Right.
I mean dimension as in another. I don't know. It's very hard. It's very hard to explain.
It's hard to explain.
But the thing is, me and him understand each other. We know exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
And that's the thing is that the fact that me and you can share, we can have our own experiences, but we both still can talk about our experiences and understand them.
Yeah.
That to me right there is there's something more to this, like a little deeper than just it being a drug. But and again, see and I've never once taken a psychedelic and was doing it with the intent of it being therapeutic. And yet me and him just sat there and talked about how we feel about the loose term spiritual side of psychedelics. So once again, and we take it recreationally. So I don't let anyone get that stupid fucking thing that this should only be used this way. You can't be addicted to psychedelics. There's a self-regulating mechanism within them. LSD, it takes 2 weeks. 2 weeks for the tolerance to reset. Now, you can take it before 2 weeks, but depending on how close it was to the previous trip, the effects are
varied.
Yeah. Mushrooms. You try to take mushrooms days in a row, it will stop. Mm-hmm. Now, I have read like stories of people who have like benders. It gives me hope. You can just but I'm like, oh wait, you can take them more than once, but like, but you've had that experience. Taking them too close. Remember, there was like 4 days later, and you had like
with LSD. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I took it I took it like 3 or 4 days, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah. So I mean, there are those stories out there, and I don't know if like their chemical makeup is different, but you can't be addicted to this stuff. You could be addicted to the feeling just like marijuana. Oh yeah. Where people say it's not physically addicting. Mm-hmm. If you don't ever take LSD again, your body's not going to go through withdrawal, just like weed. Exactly. But then we have alcohol, which is legal, which kills how many people on a daily basis?
We have cigarettes.
Yeah, both kill people on a daily basis. And yet, if you cut somebody off of alcohol, there are certain people who will die because they have to have that. The other thing that irritates me about alcohol and cigarettes being legal is what happens if a kid goes to a party and takes LSD or Molly and he dies? Oh my God, the news loses their fucking shit. And
it was the LSD that did it. It was the Molly that did it.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, but then how come when somebody dies of alcohol, let's say they go swimming and they're drunk and then they drown. Do we outlaw alcohol? No, my God, because he was a fucking idiot. Just because you couldn't handle your alcohol, but God, so let's say the fake, urban myth of somebody jumping out of a window. I think it might have happened once on LSD, but let's say that happened. It wasn't the LSD. That person was. There could have been. There's so many, multifaceted things that to look at.
Use drugs responsibly.
Yeah, okay. That's the other thing is that we may be talking about partying with drugs and how much fun they are. You still have to be responsible.
Yes.
You still have to know what you're doing. That's why we always talk about, I never take something without testing it. Mm-hmm. I make sure that I don't have anything going on the next day. I make sure that I'm not taking it. Just all the dumb situations that people put themselves in these situations, take it and then have a bad trip, and I mean it can scar them mentally.
Oh yeah.
It's like, so you have to know what you're doing. You have to be responsible. You have to do your research. For the love of God, please do research on this stuff. I know it sounds boring and everything, but I probably would have never even taken LSD had I not done the research, and that's what opened my mind to the idea of it. So,
setting. If it's your first time, probably have someone who's with you, preferably experienced.
No, no one else is around.
Someone close that you care about. How about that? A close friend or family member.
I mean it does.
But it varies, yeah.
It does vary,
maybe doing it solo right away is your thing. But yeah, to each their
I
own.
would not suggest that.
I wouldn't either, personally. I wouldn't.
Yeah, because there's too many like things that can go wrong, and having that sober person that's still in reality going, you're fine. Yeah, or just to be there with you. So guys, there is a little bit of prep work, but it's not as like, we're making this maybe sound like it's a chore to even do these. It's not. It's just making sure you're being...
To be aware. Just be aware of it. Yeah, just be aware of it. Yeah.
Don't be the person that ruins it for the rest of us because you were stupid with the drug.
All looks matter, but you guys need to calm down.
Anyways, so...
The dude on Rogan who was talking about...
Yeah, he was talking about how animals even like getting fucked up.
Pretty sure everyone saw, I don't know who it was doing it. It might have been, I can't remember what channel it was. Might have been called Live Feed. I don't know, but they did, that video of dogs actually would go out and find shrooms. Like if a dog was introduced, they showed a video of straight up. I'll try to look it up. It's a border collie. There's a border collie tripping on shrooms.
That,
it's just sitting there, just
and
tripping.
It was just like it looked like he was doing that.
Hey, I mean, you think the dog's probably having a good time, but the video stated that the dog he got introduced to that drug and they will go and find it. Like just that psychedelic, they'll go and find it. Same with, not a psychedelic necessarily. I don't know, but dolphins. If you guys didn't know this, they will find pufferfish, piss them off so they puff up, and then they will squeeze the venom out and inhale it or swallow it. They're immune to it, but it gets them euphoric. It still gets them, I guess, poisonous enough, toxic enough to get them euphoric, and they'll pass it around. They'll puff, pass a pufferfish. So yeah, there's animals that'll search for it.
I'm trying to remember. He was giving examples of animals that they would do tests with drugs, and they would it was interesting what they would how they would react. Yeah.
You can look this up on YouTube. Just type in cats on LSD.
There's
a video from there's some government experiment, obviously lab experiment, because it's
probably right when it was before it was outlawed.
Yeah, because it's an older video. No date. I didn't see the date, but it's older, definitely older. And they gave cats LSD. They put them in a box. Now, before the LSD hits, they put a mice in there, and it's just chilling with a mice. Now, cat does what natural does with a mouse. It goes at it. Now, when the LSD kicked in, they put the mice back in the cage with it, and it started freaking out. It wanted to get away from the mice. Now, again, what could be going on in the cat's head, we don't know, but maybe he thought the mouse was a scary animal now. But it was interesting seeing cats first go from, ooh, I'm going to attack that mice, to, oh, fuck that mouse.
I'm having a vague memory of one of those.
Did you find more about that? Or?
Well, I found a video of a cat. I have this vague memory. It was old. It was an old video of a cat on LSD, and they set it down. It was in a box. And when it laid down, it just started seizuring, and they picked it up. Fine. Put it back down, started seizuring, and but they didn't say it was a seizure. I'm just that's what it looked like it was doing, and I never found out. I never looked into it. I haven't seen that video into a long time, but I actually found that back when I was in high school. So this is way before my psych days, and I was.
Were you thinking the cat was in pain or something?
Yeah, well, because all the stuff. I still believed all the stuff they told you in health class, and I didn't experiment with drugs, and it wasn't until when I did my research, like I'm telling you to, that I discovered that all that shit's wrong, or that it's incorrect, or things like that. It opened my head a lot. So and
see, this is why you do your research. You find stuff that challenges all the wrong stuff you were taught. Straight up, no cap.
Do you know what's really interesting about all the stuff too, in health class, is that's all stuff that was from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, that's all old curriculum. And it's all old curriculum too if you pay attention. Like me, I remember middle school when I was getting taught it. These were books from, let's see, this would be 2011, 2012 era, middle school. So they had books from early 2000s still that they were teaching us out of. Right,
but what I mean is the myths.
Oh yeah.
These are all from
well, it doesn't help that the curriculum that we're getting taught is from earlier dates too, because they can't afford new books. That was the issue.
Yeah, but 2000 versus 1970.
Well, versus when I was versus a new book 2012. Oh, they probably would have still kept the.
I was going to say,
propaganda.
like, yeah.
Never mind. Nothing would have changed.
That's what I mean is that,
Okay.
yeah. Because, like, the propaganda
you.
I always hear, like, from psychedelics in, like, health class. First, they call them hallucinogenics.
I don't remember anything about LSD or psychedelics in health class because I don't think they can find shit.
No, I see. But
what do you remember getting taught?
So like they would say things like stuff that's just ridiculous. So like one of the things would be like, they put LSD on the tattoos that you lick and then put on your skin, and there's LSD in there, and they drug the kid. Okay, stop. I have yet to find these people that are going to go and give me drugs for free. Where the fuck are they?
Yeah,
all right?
Dare? I don't know what you were talking about. Whatever those
Yeah.
people are that Dare was talking about, find me.
Yeah, seriously. Because it's like, like these people, they're going to come on and give you drugs. Where? I've not found them.
I walk by many street corners. There's no one there.
Yeah. God. Hey, see, just like stupid stuff where if you stop and think, and then like Doug Stanhope, he was saying like his dad who never did drugs, he's like,
straight edge.
Well, yeah, like one of those, his mom on the other hand was more like him, where his dad wasn't. But his dad was like, what the problem is with these drugs these days is it's as easy to buy drugs as it is to buy a newspaper. And he goes, you go out and when a hooker tells you that she'll fuck you if you can go out and find her some blow, you tell me how easy it is to find people who don't do drugs. They seriously think it's like this. There's just the preconceived notions that come with people who don't do drugs. It's just amazing. And it's in like, these are the same people who will drink alcohol.
And the people that are telling you all these apparently negative facts about drugs have never taken drugs. So
yeah. Now, to clarify, there is bad drugs.
Yes, we do not promote the bad drugs.
Yeah, we're not talking like meth and fucking heroin. Like, and even there, you could make the argument that, well, it's harmful for some people. I don't. I disagree. And if you are somebody who's recovering, good on you.
Yes.
And having said that, I have mixed feelings about like the party drugs at raves.
Oh, like ecstasy, and Molly, and stuff, or
or like coke. The thing is, like, okay, I don't have a problem with people doing those drugs, the party drugs. I know that to some people that those are worse. Yep. I don't know. I've heard so many mixed views with coke and Molly. Same thing.
Yeah, I've had a couple friends that have done coke.
Yeah, and it always seems like I hear like varied stories. Like I'm
not talking like cokehead coke. I'm just talking like a bump a day. But still, he got to a point where his nose was getting a little too dry, so that's where he called it. So
and
it wasn't like a all day cokehead, but
and I think if you can in moderation, like do something like that, great. But I feel like that's like a smaller
like if there is actually a little small community out there that's somehow doing these hard drugs in moderation, that's impressive and interesting. But I've yet to meet someone like that. Just saying. Yeah,
personally, I haven't either. I've heard. Of people, I mean, Doug Stanhope's kind of that way. He does drug, but he does mushrooms, but he also does like cocaine.
When he does it though, does he do it with binges? Can't confirm.
Yeah, well, he said that sometimes I do cocaine if it's like 3 a.m. at a bar and I think someone might fuck me if I can just stay up for a couple extra hours. So he goes, so I do a bump and.
Okay, that's a reasonable reason to do it. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with those party drugs personally.
Yeah, it's just I guess that's just another just be safe. All in all, be safe.
Yes, and that's the other thing. I mean, personally, I'll just stick with psychedelics.
Yeah, I
probably won't ever venture to those kind of things. But if you can be responsible with your use of those, more power to you. There is one party drug I am going to. I do have a problem with, and this is kind of across the board in this area, but anything that involves huffing or taking whippets or anything like that, I don't see those as being good. Like,
if you guys want to see really good example of whippets, If you guys remember Steve-O from Jackass, he's on YouTube with his drug history with videos from his VHS tapes. And number one is whippets. Have fun. Look at that and you'll see exactly what it does to you. It's not the same as like smoking weed or doing psychs.
They say like the amount of times you're going to find cartridges at raves after the crowds.
At raves, really?
Yeah, like Wooks do them. Wooks abuse drugs more than they are than a regular person who takes them. Yeah. There's a difference.
Normal guy does the whip it in the mouth, Wook doing up the butt.
But like that's the one party drug I do have a problem with is anything that involves like huffing an oily rag. The problem is I'm a very big proponent of personal rights.
Yes.
To do what you want with your body, male or female, but my personal take on those kind of things is that I shouldn't have to explain why that's
like I got a moral in me that goes do what you want, but I want you to be fucking safe.
Thanks for checking out the podcast. If you've ever had any of your own experiences with Emanita Muscaria, let us know in the comments below.
Make sure to check us out on all streaming platforms and tune in next time for the spangled nonsense that is Blottertalk.